During a long road trip, I was driving through Ohio when I started getting dangerously sleepy behind the wheel. I pulled off into a small, quiet town called Xenia. Everything looked a little run down, but I wasn't in the mood to be picky. I just needed a place to crash for the night. I found a motel called Xenia Country Inn. The place looked old, tired, and forgotten, but so did the whole town. Inside the small front office, an elderly man sat behind the counter reading a newspaper. A buzzing tabletop fan rattled in the corner, blowing warm, stale air. When I asked for a room, he didn't greet me or smile. He simply said, 65, without looking up. I assumed he meant $65, so I handed him my card. When I asked for a corner room, he just said, no, without explanation. He handed me an old metal key, not a card, an actual key, and went back to reading. I walked across the empty parking lot. Only 2 other cars were there. The place felt abandoned. When I got to my room, the door was hard to unlock. I had to jiggle the key repeatedly before it finally clicked. Inside, the room hit me with the smell of cotton, mixed with vomit. The carpet was dirty and worn. The furniture looked older than me, and the bed creaked loudly from the springs as soon as I sat down. I tried locking the door, but the lock stuck so badly I thought I might break it. Still, the door wouldn't open when I tugged on it. That was good enough for me. I got into bed, turned on the TV, struggled with a dead remote, and eventually gave up. I crawled under the covers and tried to fall asleep. Then, a loud thump hit the window. I nearly jumped out of my skin. A man was standing outside the glass, looking directly at me. He started talking in a strained, desperate voice. Hey, please, let me in. I hurt myself. I need help. He made sure I saw him. His face, his eyes, everything about him felt wrong. I yelled back, go to the front desk. But he didn't leave. He kept begging, pleading, repeating the same lines. Every instinct in me screamed that it was a trap. No way was I opening that door. Eventually, after ignoring him long enough, he walked away. When I finally checked again, he was gone. But now I realized just how unsafe this place really was. I checked the door again, pulled on it hard. It stayed shut. Then I closed the curtains tight so no one could look inside. My nerves finally calmed, and I drifted into a light sleep. I slipped into a strange dream, running through a supermarket, chased by a manager. Then clicking sounds started filling the dream, clicking so loud that the dream fell apart. And suddenly, I was awake, and the clicking was real. The room felt freezing cold. Then I saw the blanket had been pulled completely off me. That's when I noticed it, a tall, dark figure standing at the foot of my bed. Before I could scream, he whispered sharply, "Shh, don't move." He told me he wouldn't hurt me if I stayed still and quiet. Then he asked me where my wallet was. Terrified, I whispered, "In my jeans, on the floor." He moved toward the jeans. I saw only his shadowy outline as he rummaged through my pockets until he found the wallet. "What else you got?" he asked. I told him I was just on a road trip. Nothing valuable. He didn't say another word. He left as quietly as he had come. I jumped up and tried re-locking the broken door. It wouldn't work right. I called the police. They weren't much help. The motel manager reviewed the security footage. The intruder wore a hat and mask. His face was completely hidden. I got my money back and ran out of there fast. Thankfully, I didn't have much cash on me. I canceled every card and slept in my car the rest of the night. I learned my lesson. Never stay in a sketchy motel, no matter how tired you are. Earlier last year, my father and I traveled to a small town that had been devastated by flooding. We brought a truck full of donated items to help families who'd lost everything. Our first night was peaceful. We stayed in a hotel with a beautiful view of the ocean. We stayed up watching the Blair Witch Project on my laptop. After that movie, I barely slept. The next night, my mum booked us into a cheaper motel. She said everything else was full. The place was hidden away near a trailer park and overlooked a large lake. The property was surrounded by woods. It felt isolated. The managers were an elderly couple who lived on the property. The woman was sweet. She told us the lake hadn't been full in over 20 years. Her husband, though, he looked like something out of a serial killer movie. Deep eye bags, wrinkled expression, frozen into a permanent scowl, and a cold, silent stare. That alone put us on edge. Later, when we opened the truck to get our luggage, we found a bag of children's clothes hidden under the spare tire. Thinking someone in the trailer park might need them, we decided to donate it. But when we told the old man at the front desk, his eyes widened in fear. "No," he said, "no way in hell. I refuse to go over there." Then he walked off. That was strange enough. We decided we'd donate the bag somewhere back home instead. That night, after showering, we went to bed. Around 2:17 a.m., I woke up because my dad was snoring. I stayed awake, reading on my phone, facing the door. I kept hearing cars speeding up and down the driveway. I brushed it off at first, but then a bright blue light appeared from under the doorframe. I heard whispering, quiet, rapid, sinister whispering, right outside our room. My whole body froze. My heart pounded so hard I felt it in my throat. Then the doorknob began to rattle. My stomach dropped. Suddenly, the light vanished. Silence. Not even the wind. 3 minutes passed, feeling like an eternity. I shook my dad awake and told him everything. He laughed nervously and said that earlier he had heard scratching in the walls by our bed. I didn't believe him until he held a finger to his lips. "Shh, do you hear that?" Then I heard it, scratching, coming from inside the bed frame. I bolted upright. I begged my dad to leave immediately. We grabbed our things, left the room key on the bed, and ran to the truck. We left at exactly 2:32 a.m. And I swear I will never, ever go near that motel again. My ex-girlfriend and I had a chaotic relationship. We argued constantly. On a weekend getaway to the mountains, things got so bad that I couldn't sleep in the same room as her. Instead of paying for another expensive hotel room, I went down the road and found a cheaper motel. $50 for the night. As I walked to my room, I noticed the room next door was wide open. The TV inside was on, glowing blue, but I couldn't see the screen clearly. I didn't see anyone inside, but I also didn't want to stare and look creepy. My room was plain, but fine. I wasn't tired, so I played on my phone with the TV on. That's when I heard a strange sound. At first, I thought it was coming from the TV, so I turned it off. But the noise continued. It was coming from the room next door. I couldn't tell if it was a couple fighting, a TV playing, or someone in serious distress. It was muffled beyond recognition. Then, a sudden bang on the wall, the shared wall between our rooms. My heart jumped. I pressed my ear against the wall and heard another loud bang. Someone was hitting it with their fist. Trying to be brave, I decided to check on the room next door. The door was still open. The TV was on, casting that eerie blue glow, but the room was silent. No one was there. The bathroom was empty, lights off, no movement. I stepped inside cautiously. Then I saw it, a sticky note on the TV screen. It said, "Check under the bed." I dropped the note instantly and sprinted back to my room. I locked the door, threw the chain lock across, and jumped into bed, shaking. I texted my girlfriend. She called immediately. As I told her what happened, the wall between my room and the empty room banged again, louder this time. She heard it through the phone and told me to run either to my car or the front desk. I chose the front desk to demand my money back. When I told the clerk what happened, he looked unfazed. He calmly said, "There's no one staying in either room next to you." He knew instantly that both rooms were vacant. We went back together. He unlocked the room next door, now completely dark, TV off, sticky note gone. He checked under the bed. Nothing. He refused to refund me. I didn't care. I just wanted to leave. I drove straight back to the hotel where my girlfriend was staying. I hugged her and slept beside her, relieved to be anywhere but that motel. I still don't know what I saw in that room. I don't want to know who or what left that note. And I don't ever want to know what was under that bed.